Hey YouTube, Mr. Shoebop here coming at you on June 8th, 2014. This is going to be an update on my 40-gallon breeder. And I'm going to just go ahead and zoom in, and I want you all to check out these cherry shrimp. They are pretty freaking awesome to watch, and they've been like a real joy just having them in my tank. They are extremely good at cleaning tanks, and when I started this tank I only had, I got 6 or 7 from a guy. He sold them for 50 cents a piece, which I thought was crazy expensive. But since then, they've propagated and reproduced, and they have been awesome to kind of watch. This one is awesome. This one is slightly more red than the previous ones that I've seen, and I see him from time to time. I'm almost considering starting a process whereby I do selective breeding, and I take the brightest and the reddest and take them and I place them into my 29-gallon tall, which would be a nice project I think I might consider in the future. Plant-wise, this tank hasn't changed much. Everything is where it's been. If you saw a previous video, I showed you how I was going to be battling some green hair algae with hydrogen peroxide, and that has gone extremely well. And right here actually you can see where it used to be, and it's dead. That's all dead green hair algae right next to this Amano shrimp. Speaking of, it's another resident of my 40-gallon breeder. I started with 10 Amano shrimp. May have been overcrowded in this tank, but slowly but surely they climbed out of this tank, and 9 out of 10 died, and this is the only one that stayed, and I've had it for about a year and a half. And like the cherry shrimp, it is an extremely good member of the cleanup crew, and they're constantly just cleaning all the dead and dying debris that's kind of been left in my tank. So here is my not Java fern, excuse me. This is my Anubis nana that I've had now for about 2 years. Let me bring up my camera and I'll get you a top-down view. I got this one at PetSmart about a year and a half ago, and it was just 3 or 4 leaves to start with. In fact, it was almost dead, and I talked the manager into selling it to me for half off. And as I just mentioned, it just had 3 or 4 leaves, and now it has 20 to 30. It's done extremely well. It has an entire root structure that's attached to this piece of driftwood and comes all the way down, and it's begun to kind of get into the substrate, which is a pool filter sand substrate mixed with some fluorite. Additionally, I have another Anubis. I believe that's Anubis Coffeephilia. Can't quite remember. And it's done okay. It's grown some leaves. It hasn't done nearly as well as the Anubis nana. And in the back portion of my tank is another Anubis plant that's done extremely well. Same story for this one. I bought this at PetSmart. It had 2 to 3 leaves on it, and now it has, around 15 to 20, which is cool. Zooming out, if you saw my previous tank update, you will have noticed that the plants are extremely short because I had just done a trim and had relocated a lot of these Bacopa stem plants to my 29-gallon tall. They've since grown back and are growing and getting really giving my 40-gallon breeder that jungle look I've been looking for. And so I'll let these kind of grow probably another 5 inches, and then I'll do another massive trim, and I'll replant them in this 40-gallon breeder, and that'll take me a step closer to the Bacopa Lejuigia repens kind of jungle look that I've been looking for. And so that's about it, YouTube. Nothing else has changed. Oh, one last thing. I did add about an inch of sand, 1 to 2 inches of sand to the base of my aquarium, especially in the foreground here, where I had some dwarf hair grass that I have been trying to grow. It's been growing steadily. I think my fish and some of my shrimp were pulling it up, and so it never really flourished like I wanted it to. But since I've added the 1 to 2 inches of pool filter sand, I think it has a much sturdier root structure than it did previously. So it's kind of coming in, and this time it's staying. It's not getting pulled out by shrimp and fish and floating to the top like it did previously. Well, YouTube, that's about it, and stay tuned for my next tank update. As always, rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.